Hey everyone, welcome back to Shaggy's Car Shop. I misspoke in my last video. I guess I should have read the instructions that came with the bolts. It tells me exactly how tight to torque them and says to use Loctite. So we're going to get after that in this video. And I found some starter bolts for my starter. So we're hopefully going to get after that, show you how I'm going to kick the bendix out on it, and see how it meshes up with the flywheel. So without any further ado, let's get after it. Alright, so on all of these bolts, I pulled them out. I greased up the head base of the bolt, just like my instruction said, and added some Loctite. And then the torque spec for these, because they're ARP bolts and they stretch to hold tight, is 85 foot-pounds. That's what my directions say, so that's what I'm going to do. Let me torque all of these up quick, and then we'll move over to the starter and see how that's working. Alright, now with this and any wheel or anything I put on, I do a crisscross pattern, but I'm going to go back all the way around and just make sure I hit them all. Just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And just like that, flywheel's installed. Alright, let me bring you back once I get this starter set out. Alright, so on this starter, it's a mini starter. They're supposed to have a gear reduction in them and lots of torque, and I figured I might want to save space on it. And on the front side, you can adjust how the starter motor, or the motor and the solenoid sit compared to the block, just in case header clearance or anything like that. I know they make them and use them on a lot of small blocks. I figured I'd give it a go. So on here, if you're wanting to test one of these, hook that one up right there to battery power, and then just ground out your starter housing. If you just want to kick the bendix out, this little tab right here, and then another wire grounded, and I'm using pretty light wire just because I don't have a set of jumper cables that can work on my little 12-volt battery over here. But if you watch right here, I'll hook up the wires and kick the bendix out, and that will be how, or this will be similar to how I kick it out once I mount it up on the engine and just check the clearance. Because it is, I don't know, I might be able to, I don't think I'll be able to wedge it out or grab it. I was hoping I would be able to get behind it somehow, but I guess using electricity the way it's supposed to function is the only way I'll get it out and see how it's going to mesh. So keep an eye on that. I'll hook up the battery quick and arc some wires. So basically, like I said, that's how I'm going to kick it out, see how it meshes with my flywheel. Alright, let me go get this mounted up onto the engine block. I'll bring you along for that. Potentially, we'll see how hard it fights me. But let me get this mounted up, and then we might have to adjust how this sits, because I want it up kind of close to the block, leave room for headers and whatnot, and we'll go from there. All right, I'll be right back with you. All right, folks. So I have my starter mounted up in here, and I added both shims that came with this kit. But when I test the bendix kicking out, it comes out and it gets stuck on my ring gear teeth. Now, that's one thing, or one reason I wanted to check this, because it's an aftermarket starter, first of all, and it's a lot easier to do on my garage floor right here. So I'll kick it out for you since I have the wires hooked up and whatnot, and show you what it's doing, and then I'll explain a little after the fact, I guess. And then one other thing, so when I was test fitting this, I did pull those little bolts out and try and adjust this. This bolt right here hits the edge of my block, so I can't kick it up one more. So I might try and find a flat screw or something, but I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. My headers should kind of come down and go like that. I guess if it is, when I get the headers for this engine, I can try and find a different screw or bolt for this, like a flathead one, because it's just nicking on the side right there. And then I might be able to rotate this up, or if I really wanted to, I could rotate this all the way down too. If I can't find anything to fit there, I can rotate it down. Granted, I'd rather not have the solenoid down in the mud, but it's another option with one of these starters where you can flip them upside down, and then it leaves you lots more room to do things. But let me show you what this bendix is doing. So watch right there, that's where the bendix is. So it's doing it right there. It's not extending all the way and meshing with these gears. So when I first tested it without the shims, I was hoping maybe these two thin shims would bring the starter down enough to where it'd be loose enough. But I guess this hits a stopping point for me tonight. Probably not for the video. I'm gonna go source some more starter shims tomorrow or the next day, something like that, and then we'll get after that and figure out what we need to do. Either shim it on the inside one, which I really don't want to do. I'd rather just shim it on both bolts and just keep dropping it down, because eventually it will be loose enough. And I mean, these two thin shims brought it down before it wasn't even engaging with the teeth. It's kind of engaging with the teeth now. So I think two more shims, or one big shim plus these two, should drop it low enough to where it'll be able to engage the teeth and back out like it's supposed to. All right, folks. Yeah, I'll bring you back once I get some shims. All right, folks. So I think a day or two later, had to run by a parts store after work, and I got some shims. I ended up shimming this 1/8. So I added the two 1/32 and the 1/16, which comes out to be 2/16 or 1/8. Yeah, if my math serves, or my fraction, should I say. But it is clearing now when I kick the bendix out, and kicking back in when I rotate the engine. But there is enough clearance between the bendix teeth and the ring gear teeth. But yeah, that's why we do this you know, aftermarket parts, aftermarket starter, aftermarket flywheel. Nothing really designed. Well, I guess it's probably designed to work on this engine, but it's, you know, not factory applications. Yeah, so now I have my starter installed, and I'll bring you right back. All right, folks, that's it for tonight's video. I got my flywheel torqued down like I wanted to, and again, it took me a day or two because I had to swing by a parts store after work, pick up some shims, but I got my starter installed, and I made sure there wasn't any interference with my ring gear. Next, I think we are ready to put on the pressure plate and then bell housing. Then we have to measure the throwout bearing distance and then mount the transmission. So yeah, I think on the next video we're going to be mounting the pressure plate on this thing, and we'll go from there. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.